Have you ever felt that subtle kind of chilling unease? You know, that nagging doubt that just makes you second guess your own memories, maybe even your sanity. It's not just like someone telling you what to do. It feels deeper, like an erosion of your self-trust, your autonomy, makes you wonder if maybe you're the one losing it.
Yeah, that chilling unease you mentioned, that's often a sign, according to our sources, of something called coercive control. And it's not just someone having strong opinions, right? It's a whole dynamic where one person trying to systematically dominate another. They slowly twist reality until you're questioning everything you thought you knew about yourself. And yeah, it can leave you feeling incredibly trapped, often without even realizing how you got there.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're diving into today. Dealing with controlling behavior. Recognize and respond to maintain your autonomy. We've looked at a bunch of stuff, sources covering the psychology, the emotions, the relationships involved. We'll get into understanding those like cunning manipulation tactics, setting healthy boundaries, and basically reclaiming your sense of self. So our mission today is to give you some clear insights, some actual strategies you can use to navigate these really tough dynamics, help you kind of rebuild that internal compass.
Okay, so when we talk about controlling behavior, it's important to be clear. We're not just talking about someone who, likes things their way. The sources are really specific here. It's about a dynamic where one person seeks to dominate another. It's not about healthy self-control for themselves. It's about gaining power over someone else's choices and behavior.
Right. And a key term that comes up a lot is coercive control. What our sources really stress is that this isn't just like a one-off argument. It's a pattern, a systematic pattern of behavior. It's designed to degrade you, isolate you, deprive you of your rights. Think of it like creating this constant state of, terror and entrapment, even if there's no hitting or obvious violence. It could be things like constantly monitoring where you go, who you talk to, or cutting you off from friends and family, maybe controlling your money so you can't leave, or even stopping you from getting a job or seeing a doctor. It's like this total takeover.
And what's really insidious and fascinating in a disturbing way is how often this overlaps with gaslighting. Gaslighting is a really potent form of that coercive control. It's basically repeatedly undermining and twisting someone else's reality. The abuser will deny facts, deny situations, even deny how you feel. They make you question your own perceptions, your judgments. The real power of gaslighting, it's not just making you doubt, say, one specific memory. It's about systematically dismantling your entire internal compass. You end up feeling like you have to rely on their version of reality because your own sense of truth has just been corrupted.
So how does it actually do that? How does it cause such deep damage?
Well, it makes you doubt yourself constantly.
Yeah.
Your memories, your ability to judge things right. And that leads to this profound self-doubt. Your confidence just gets eroded. And tragically, you become more dependent on the very person doing the control. It's clever in a twisted way. It shifts the focus away from their awful behavior onto your supposed instability. Like you're the problem.
Right. And you might hear phrases like, you're totally overreacting, that never even happened. Or it's all in your head. Another really common one, and this one gives me chills, is, oh, I was just joking. Lighten up, will ya? These aren't just throwaway comments. They are designed specifically to invalidate how you feel, make you think your reactions are crazy or just wrong.
Yeah, and something I found really chilling in the sources about gaslighting was how it's usually not this big, sudden shock. It's this gradual, chipping away at your reality. It almost convinces you that you're the problem. Like, take that example of Cynthia and Jason. When they first met, Cynthia thought Jason was amazing, so kind. But after a few months, she starts feeling off. Uneasy. Jason would flirt with other women, right in front of her. And when she'd say something, he'd accuse her of losing it or acting insane. But here's where it gets really sneaky.
Yeah?
He'd buy her gifts, right? Claiming he used his own money. But actually, he was using her money from a joint account he'd talked her into setting up. And eventually, Cynthia starts genuinely believing she does have memory problems or serious self-esteem issues or jealousy issues. Exactly what Jason kept telling her. It wasn't one big lie, but this slow, insidious drip, until she thought the problem was her, not him.
And it's crucial to remember this isn't just about romantic relationships, although that's where we often hear about it. Coercive control, gaslighting. It can happen in any ongoing relationship where there's a power imbalance. Think about work settings, families, maybe a supervisor and an employee, or even a parent and child. The core element is that desire to gain power and control over someone else at their expense. And that dynamic can pop up anywhere, really.
Okay, so once we've started recognizing these controlling patterns, the next really critical step, and our sources say this is absolutely fundamental for getting your autonomy back, is figuring out the difference between setting a healthy boundary for yourself and actually being controlling towards someone else. It sounds simple, but it can be tricky, can't it?
It really can. Because boundaries, fundamentally, are always about your own behavior, your own reactions. They're defensive. They're meant to protect you, your space, your well-being. So think of it like this. A boundary is about what you will do or what you won't tolerate for yourself.
Okay, like the example. I won't let people yell at me. If someone starts yelling, I'm going to hang up the phone or I'll leave the room.
Yeah.
That's a boundary because it's about controlling my response, right? What I do, managing my actions and my environment. It's about my personal agency.
Exactly. Now contrast that with controlling behavior. That's about trying to dictate what other people do, their actions. It's directed outward. It's offensive in the sense that it tries to interfere with someone else's rights or choices. It's really about dismantling their personal agency, not protecting your own.
Got it. So telling someone you absolutely must go to church with me every single week, that's controlling. But saying something like, look, my faith is really important to me, and honestly, I'm not interested in being with someone who doesn't share that value, that's a boundary. You're stating your needs, your values, not forcing them to change. You're defining your terms for being in the relationship, not trying to run their life.
Right. And these scenarios can get pretty fuzzy sometimes. That's where the nuance really kicks in.
Yeah.
For instance, saying, you can't hang out with your friend every weekend because you two used to sleep together and I just don't trust them. That's clearly controlling. You're trying to dictate their friendships, their social life, based on your insecurity.
Okay, but what about this one? I'm sorry, but I just won't be in a relationship with someone who hangs out with their ex every single week. That feels like an ultimatum, maybe. But it's still a boundary, isn't it? Because it's about your choice, what you are willing to accept in a relationship you're part of. You're not forcing them to stop seeing their ex. You're stating your own limit for staying.
Precisely. It's about your participation. Another classic example. Say you're uncomfortable with your partner working in a bar. The controlling move is, you have to quit that job now. A boundary-setting approach would sound more like, I feel really uncomfortable with you working there. I worry about drunk guys harassing you. And if you can't help me feel reassured about this, or if I keep feeling this way, I think I'll have to reconsider whether this relationship works for me. See the difference? You communicate your feelings and the potential consequence for you in the relationship, rather than just demanding they change their life to suit you. It puts the focus back on your limits.
Right. So ultimately, boundaries are about your agency, what you'll tolerate, what you will or won't do. And yeah, people who don't like your boundaries might accuse you of being controlling. That happens. But the real difference is, well, it boils down to whose behavior is being managed. Are you managing your own responses and participation, or are you trying to manage someone else's life and choices? It's really about taking back that fundamental right to define your own reality, your own actions, and kind of dismantling their assumed authority over you.
Yes. And once you can clearly see that distinction, you're in a much, much stronger place to actually start using strategies for resistance and empowerment.
Okay, let's get practical then. Strategies. You've recognized you're being manipulated, maybe gaslighted. What can you actually do in the moment or afterwards? Our sources lay out some really helpful ways to resist manipulation, to help you hold your ground and not get, pushed around.
Okay, first one, stay grounded. When someone's trying to manipulate you, your nervous system can just go haywire, right? Fight or flight. So the first step is to actively calm your body and mind. A simple but really powerful way to do this is to consciously slow down your speaking pace and lower your voice volume just a bit. That simple action actually helps regulate your nervous system. It dials down the anxiety, helps you think more clearly. It kind of activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the brakes, so you can respond thoughtfully instead of just reacting.
Okay, that makes sense. Second strategy, deploy the force field visualization. This sounds a bit out there maybe, but it's a mental trick that can really work. So if someone's throwing unfair stuff at you, insults, accusations, things that just aren't true, you imagine this strong, invisible force field all around you, and you actually visualize their words, especially the unproductive ones, just bouncing right off it that can't get through. It helps create this feeling of sturdiness, safety, and that crucial bit of emotional distance from whatever negativity they're throwing your way keeps it from sinking in.
Third, identify and avoid the bait. Manipulators have their go-to moves, their hooks, things like trying to make you feel guilty or ashamed or blaming you for everything. Sometimes they play the exaggerated victim. These aren't usually genuine feelings they're expressing. They're tactics, specifically designed to mess with your emotions and pull you into an argument you just can't win. So if something they say or do feels just, absurd, or way over the top, or kind of childish, trust that gut feeling. It's often a sign that what they're saying is inflated or just plain wrong, designed purely to get a reaction out of you. Don't take the bait.
Right. Avoid getting hooked. Okay. Fourth, use the broken record technique. So if you do need to confront a manipulator about something, don't expect them to just go, oh, okay, you're right. They probably won't. They'll likely deny or twist things or try to change the subject, evade. The technique here is to calmly and repeatedly just state your core point or request, like a broken record. Say you lent someone money, they haven't paid it back, and they're giving you excuses. You could say, I understand it's a difficult time for you right now, and we agreed you'd pay me back by date. What are you able to pay towards that now? And when they try to deflect with more excuses, you just calmly repeat, maybe slightly rephrased, I hear that, and what amount are you able to pay now? Don't get drawn into their side stories.
Exactly. Keep bringing it back. And finally, number 5, validate the feeling. Don't condone the behavior. This one can be surprisingly powerful. It can disarm them sometimes, or at least stop them from accusing you of having no empathy. You acknowledge the feeling they say they're having without actually agreeing with their twisted logic or excusing their bad actions. For example, wow, I can definitely see how hurt you're feeling right now, and at the same time, I'm just not willing to lie for you. Or maybe, I can understand why you'd be frustrated about that situation, and I also don't think it's okay to yell or damage property. It lets you show you hear their emotion, but you still hold firm on your stance and your boundaries.
Those are great tactics. And beyond those in-the-moment things, setting up clear communication boundaries ahead of time is huge. These are basically the rules of engagement you decide on for difficult conversations. Think about verbal boundaries, like saying, I need you to speak to me calmly and respectfully if we're going to talk about this. Or emotional ones. I need to feel like my feelings are being heard and acknowledged. If you keep dismissing them, I'm going to end this conversation. You can even set time boundaries. Okay, let's agree to talk about this specific issue at 7 p.m. Or let's limit this difficult discussion to, say, 30 minutes for now, and we can revisit it tomorrow if we need to. Having these clear lines really helps manage the interaction and protects your energy.
Absolutely. And another piece of the puzzle for recognition is understanding the pattern of the narcissistic abuse cycle. It typically goes through 4 phases. First is idealization, where they put you on a pedestal, everything's amazing. Then comes devaluation. They start subtly or not so subtly criticizing you, chipping away at your worth, followed by rejection, where they might discard you suddenly and coldly. And then often comes hoovering. It's a manipulative tactic where they try to suck you back in after some time apart, often with grand apologies or promises they don't mean. Just recognizing that pattern, idealize, devalue, reject, hoover, can be incredibly eye-opening and help you see if you're caught in that manipulative loop, empower you to break free.
Yeah, seeing the pattern is powerful. And finally, reclaiming your strengths. This is so important because these tactics, they're designed to make you feel worthless, to crush your confidence. So you need to actively counteract that damage. Make a conscious effort to identify your own strengths. Maybe it's your wisdom, your creativity. Maybe you have this quiet confidence deep down, or you're really assertive when you need to be, or you just have amazing perseverance. Focusing on those things helps build up your resilience again. It reminds you who you really are outside of the distorted picture they're trying to paint.
Definitely. And we need to talk about the deeper impacts too. Coercive control isn't just upsetting. It has serious mental health consequences. Our sources really highlight this. Research, including a major meta-analysis, found that coercive control is moderately linked with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and also with depression. And the strength of that link is pretty comparable to the impact you see from broader psychological abuse or even physical intimate partner violence. What's really key here is understanding that it's the ongoing nature of it, that constant feeling of being trapped and terrified, that does so much damage.
And that can sometimes lead to something called complex PTSD or CPTSD. This type of PTSD can come from that kind of prolonged terror and feeling trapped, which is exactly what coercive control often involves. Unlike PTSD from, say, a single traumatic event, CPTSD often includes symptoms beyond the standard ones. Things like affective dysregulation, basically really struggling to manage intense emotions. Also a deeply negative self-concept, feeling ruthless or damaged. And these pervasive problems in relationships, like a constant feeling of mistrust or insecurity. The sheer length of the abuse fundamentally changes how you see yourself in the world, your sense of safety.
And we absolutely have to mention the kids. Children exposed to coercive control, whether it's aimed at them or they're just witnessing it between parents, suffer serious impacts.
Yeah.
It can affect their schoolwork, their friendships, their behavior, their self-esteem. Sometimes kids might even feel like they have to become like record keepers for the parent being gaslighted, trying to help them remember what happened, trying to make sense of the confusing reality that forces them into this incredibly stressful adult role. Creates huge anxiety and really messes with their own sense of what's real and what's safe.
It's heartbreaking. So for survivors listening, what are some key things to focus on moving forward? First, and this is huge, trust your own perceptions, even when they're being constantly challenged. That gut feeling you have, that little spark of doubt about what they're telling you, it's often right on the money. And talk to people. Share what you're concerned about with trusted friends, family members, maybe a mentor, someone who will listen and validate what you're experiencing. Offer that outside perspective.
Yes. And try to engage in activities that give you some emotional safety, some space away from the situation. Could be a hobby you love, spending time with a supportive friend who gets it, or even just carving out moments for quiet reflection by yourself. Also, critically, pay attention to their actions, not just their words. Promises mean very little if the behavior doesn't change. And record things. If you can safely do so, keep records, save documents, texts, maybe keep a journal, even voice memos if possible. Store them somewhere safe, secure, where the other person can't find them. This isn't about plotting revenge. It's about having concrete proof for yourself when your reality is being distorted. And it can be vital if you need to make a safety plan or seek help later.
Absolutely vital. And please hear this. It is never ever your fault if you are being gaslighted or subjected to controlling behavior. It is a form of abuse, period. It's rooted entirely in the other person's issues, their need for unhealthy control and power over you. If you feel you might be in danger, please reach out for professional support. Domestic violence shelters and programs offer way more than just housing. They have counseling, legal help, support groups. In Canada, you can call 1-866-863-0511 or visit sheltersafe.ca to find resources in your area. There are similar resources in most countries. And seriously consider making a safety plan with someone you trust if you have any fear for your well-being. It's a critical step.
It really comes down to this. Your autonomy, your sense of self, it's invaluable. Recognizing these controlling behaviors for what they are, understanding that crucial difference between setting your own boundaries and trying to control someone else, and having these strategies to respond, those are your most powerful tools. It's really all about empowering yourself, protecting your own peace, not trying to change the other person, because often you can't.
So as you go about your day-to-day, maybe just think about this one thing. What one small boundary could you commit to reinforcing or maybe establishing for the first time? Not to change someone else, remember, but just to reclaim a little piece of your own precious autonomy. Keep exploring these ideas, keep learning, and keep empowering yourself to build the healthy, authentic relationships you deserve.
Well said. Until next time.
Take care, everyone.